I never was a chess player in all my years until recently. I'm still not a chess player, but recently I've taken interest in chess, and I'm fascinated by it. I always thought the symbolism and the parallels that people found so deep was overstated, but it really is something that, something that you can use as symbolism and use as a practical guide for strategy in your life. I always say you have to treat life, uh, be at play, and also treat life like a game because it is a game. It is a game in so many aspects, right? Anyway, one thing that I found fascinating learning the rules of chess is how the king barely moves. And always, just from a very um, casual observation, I always thought that the queen was the most powerful piece because I saw the queen could do all the moves and everything. And finally, I learned that checkmate is when you capture the king. So the king is the most important piece, as it should be. That's a parallel to real life. King is the king. So the king barely moves, just one square at a time, yet the entire game revolves around him. And that's the paradox of power. That's the point I'm trying to make. You don't need to do everything. I've learned that in my endeavors, uh, climbing my arena, reaching further heights in my arena, and taking on more roles of leadership, learning how to be a leader. You don't need to do everything. You have to be the one that um, moves people around and other people move around you. So we're going to talk about how to live like a king. So the king, again, is the objective. It's not the worker. The king really doesn't have to chase glory. He stays protected. He really shapes the board. And um, the point is for him to survive long enough for his influence to increase and to matter even more. Parallel to life is in your life, your job is to be a anchor, a center of gravity, an area of focus for continuity, for security, for composure, steadiness. These are all the qualities the king has to exemplify. So, in a practical sense, getting down to just how you apply that to your life is you have to first protect your health, um, guard your time and your focus, just like a castle. Because if you fall, you don't take care of yourself, everything else collapses. And I had to realize that for me as a head of household, as a leader in my in my my endeavors, I had to take care of myself first, and then that leads to controlling position, put myself in position, and then control that position through positioning and not through active motion. The king doesn't run around the board; he positions others. So in life, you have to control with standards. You have to control with rhythms, putting rhythms in place, operating standard operating procedures in place, and just your presence. I've learned that as a manager, sometimes all my team needs is for me to be around, my presence, rather than me to run around, just for me to be around. Um, and then the opportunities with your presence to will be with your presence, you have the opportunity to reinforce your values, set your standards, your boundaries, so that people can move accordingly even when you're not there. That's the goal: is to create uh, extensions of yourself and your philosophy. Okay, I've learned through chess. I mentioned the queen. The queen is a valuable force, the greatest force. The queen has the range that the king will never have. She moves across the board with speed, power, precision. But everything she does is for him. She acts for him. So in life, the parallel is a strong woman, whether that be romantically, platonically, business. A strong woman, and I can lay testament to that. Um, Having strong women by your side, they can move in ways that you can't. They can influence social dynamics. They can handle the invisible details that are unbeknownst to you. They can sense opportunities and they sense threats differently. Sometimes I've been in plenty of scenarios when I've consulted with whoever the females are in my life in different endeavors, and they can seem very fearful, very careful, and very sensitive to threats. And their intuition will speak to them. And I've had situations where I initially was dismissive of this intuition, of these sensitivity, threats, and harm, and it ended up being a case where they were right. So the queen multiplies your power when she's aligned with your mission. So men make the mistake of caging their women instead of channeling her energy, competing with her instead of directing her energy, allowing her to wander instead of protecting her so that she can protect you. Okay, so a man without a queen can still play, but remember your reach is going to be limited without that queen. And furthermore, you got the rest of your team, your other pieces. You got your rooks. I'm learning about the rooks. The rooks can move straight forward, straight straight lines, right? So that represents your systems, your infrastructure, things that are reliable, predictable, and straightforward. So that can be the power of virtual assistants. I'll talk about that some in my community. How I utilize virtual assistants, bots, AI. You know, you are a business, so there should be some aspects of your life that are automated. And yeah, that's something that I have for my students in my academy, my community. We can talk about that on different videos about systems, but your rooks. Then you have your bishops. Um, Bishops can cut across time diagonally. Okay, they can cut across the board diagonally, and that symbolizes them cutting across time. They can um, shortcut a lot of your efforts. So a bishop is someone like an actual clergyman. In so many cases, men of power have had the Pope in their pocket, um, or the Pope is an ally. They've had certain preachers and pastors, clergymen. Um, that might be something to consider if you have these relationships, how they can help you because they can, much like the Queen, they can get indoors and influence ways that you can't. They have a certain type of access that no one else has simply because they are a clergyman. So these are power moves to think about in your life. You have your knights. These are the creative problem solvers. Okay, because knights can move um, in they move in a creative way in tight spots. So you got your problem solvers. You have your artists. You have your again virtual assistants that are more creative problem solvers. Um, that's what your knights can represent. And then you have pawns. Every king, most kings start off as pawns. Pawns represent starting at the bottom, paying your dues, uh, day in and day out. Every king had to learn how to do the basics, the fundamentals, day in, day out, for years, perhaps. So this represents your daily habits. Look at your daily habits and the culture that you cultivate with for yourself and for your team as your pawns. Okay, small, but they set the structure, they set the tone, and then they can transform into more powerful pieces with the right nurturing. So you always want to be upgrading your weakest piece every day, um, whether that's in your on your team. You want to be analyzing and spending the most time with the weakest people. And if you find that they are not improving, if they are not adding value to what you're doing, then you have to have a different conversation, a different observation, and you may have to make changes at that point. And the point of that is taking initiative. Initiative. Okay, you want to make others react to you because the strongest players don't just defend; they set the pace. I've learned that in watching chess masters. They learn how to set the pace. So in life, you want to create conditions where people must respond to you. You want to be proactive in a lot of ways. Your goals, your timing, your standards. You want to set deadlines. Again, establish systems, and then let the board adjust to you. Let the universe collapse around you because of your intentions that you set forth, your initiative. Um, and then the end game. The thing about chess is you have the end game, right? Um, that's when the king goes from uh, resting, being safe. He becomes more active. He becomes the powerful force that he's designed to be, but only in the right time. Okay, so same in life. Once you've built your security, your systems, once you've got an infrastructure, once you've got some skin in the game, once you've put some wins on the board, built some experience, built your team, you step forward. And when the opportunity arises, because as a man of aptitude, charm, and knowledge, you're always elevating. You're always looking for the next manifestation. Okay, you lead from the front. That's when you are aggressive. You make the calls. You make the close. You close the deals. And the essence of it all, as a king, is you want to guard your position, get in position, guard your position, set your standards, and influence people through your standards. And that requires you to be disciplined yourself and live through your own standards. Live your own standards. Use your queens as your greatest allies, not your rivals. So, all you He-Man woman haters, that's not going to benefit you in life. You're going to limit yourself very much by not having being strategic about the queens in your life. And then you want to treat your team and your habits like pieces, each with a role, like pawns. And then control the tempo, make others play your game, and like I said, step forward when it counts. Man, the king rarely moves, yet every piece lives for him. So it can look like laziness to some. It can look like a lot of leisure, but it's strategic, and that's by design. So that's how you get on your king shit, man. Peace and blessings. That's all I got for you today.